Hello, everybody. It's Michael Hollands for Sound of the Movies. Today, I have the pleasure to once again be joined by the great Marco Beltrami. And on today's episode, we will talk about Silent Night, directed by Mr. John Woo. And it is my pleasure to welcome back Marco Beltrami.
Great to be here. Good to see you again. It's been a long time.
And now let's dive right into Silent Night. And as I understand, Marco, you had been recommended to John Woo by the editor Zach Stanberg. Is that right?
Yes.
Was that based on your collaboration with him on American Night, or do you two go way back?
We've known each other a while. He asked me to do American Night during COVID, and it was sort of like a COVID project that we did. Everything was done remotely and all. Um, but we reconnected there, and then when he went on to work with John, he recommended me to John. And when they had a cut of Silent Night, it wasn't completely finished, but like a rough cut. He had me come in and take a look and talk to John, and we hit it off. And yeah, I guess I probably got hired shortly thereafter.
What were the first steps like after you had seen the cuts, which wasn't finished? Did you talk extensively about the plot, or did John explain the characters?
Yeah, you could tell what was going on. There was enough of it so you could see. But we spoke about, well, there was a couple things. One, it was important to John to have a theme for this music box that it runs through the movie, and have that be part of a larger theme for the movie. So it wasn't just an isolated thing. Originally, they had for temp, I think they had America the Beautiful or something like that, but they playing. But they thought that might skew a little bit to I don't know, with a strange mixed demographic thing. So the so that was one of the first challenges, to try to come up with some sort of theme that would do both those things. And um, actually, after seeing the movie, I was inspired um, more at this point by the actor,
Joel
I
Kinnaman?
guess, yeah, Joel Kinnaman's character, um, by his frustration not being able to talk, and this inner rage that he has, and coming up for something that would identify the audience with this. And um, it was almost like a sonic thing that I wanted to get. Oh, and something very obsessive in his brain that you could feel. And we had been doing some experiments with from a while back with two pianos that were detuned slightly differently, um, and just sort of hammering on this one note with this detuned piano as well, um, gave this, I think, element of obsession to a motive, a very simple motive that we could play. And that was really the first thing that I came up with, and had John and Zach out. This was before the movie was even done, but just to hear some ideas. And John really responded to this. The first time you hear it is when he gets shot in the throat in that scene, and we played that for him. And then I knew we were on the same page, because music is abstract, and you can talk about things, but until somebody hears it and you can actually have something to talk about, it's sort of meaningless. So that was a great start, and I knew that it was going to be a lot of fun at that point. And that was the backbone of the whole score. I mean, this music box thing actually came out of the tonality of these two notes, and from the music box became the whole family theme. So it was all connected. It was down to a very minute microcosm of the score that everything came out of.
John has been making movies for 50 years. He started out in the early 70s, then he had an extensive, expanded Hong Kong period, obviously, and then, no, in 1993, he started making his very first American movie called Hard Target. And then he left 10 years later, and then he basically wanted to focus more on Hong Kong pictures again, Red Cliff, for instance. And Marco, what was your biggest motivation to work for this iconic and legendary filmmaker? Was it his personality or his style as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that he does so well is that he takes these ultra violent scenes and often puts this. It's almost like romantic type music that goes with it, and it gives it a totally different direction. And so I really like that about what he's done, and I thought there could be great opportunity working with him. I especially after meeting him. He's very open to creativity, very open to trying new things and innovation, and that's really the spirit of filmmaking. That I remember doing an interview and about this, and I said that it really harkened back to the when I first started out writing film scores back in the late '90s, and having this real fun spirit of adventure, which honestly, on many projects, it can get lost. You're working and people want the temp and they want, there's a committee of people and it becomes like, I don't know, it can often become less than it should be. And working with John was really refreshing because it brought back the old spirit of collaboration and director and composer working together. No outside influences, no other people with other agendas, but just the spirit of creativity and collaboration, which I really loved.
In order to prepare for this assignment, did you actually revisit some of his films of the past? Were you familiar with his Hong Kong movies, or did you mainly know the American ones?
We got a copy of actually the Killer, which is hard to get. It's I don't know how we got it, but we managed to. And yeah, I mean, I was familiar with his American movies, not as much with the Hong Kong movies, but yeah, I mean, I was still super excited.
And the film has a unique premise, as there is very little dialogue in this film. Very little. Basically 90% dialogue free, 95%. So, which challenges did the absence of dialogue create? Or obstacles, maybe even?
Well, I was saying, like, since he's not talking, I think it probably presented, new challenges for the actors being able to convey all this stuff just through their eyes and through their emotions and what they're doing. And that's the stuff that I responded to, and that's why I really felt this musical need to have something that worked hand in hand with what I was seeing on the screen, like this obsession thing, and the emotional aspect of his dead son, and being able to let these scenes blossom when he goes to visit the gravesite and the end of the movie when he's in the son's bedroom, and have those be strong emotional scenes, because really there's nothing to hide behind. It's just the visuals and the sound and the music.
And from a musical standpoint and also from a creative standpoint, which part turned out to be the most satisfying one or even the most unique cinematic moment that Silent Night has to offer?
Well, I really like the whole end sequence, but I mean the when he goes into the warehouse, I like how it's actually not my score, but how the movie plays with the song that's going there. I think that works really well. The and From a score moment, I think when he's the scene when he's sitting in his car, he watches his wife, and then he goes to visit the gravesite. I think that's really a powerful moment. I mean, there's a lot of scenes that I really had fun doing. His whole training montage when it's a long sequence when he starts ticking off the days on his calendar, and that progression. I think it's like 15 minutes or something that goes through, and he's building up. There's a momentum to the scene and the music that carries through. I remember John saying that he liked this idea of using a hi hat or something to tick the time going by, and so I had a lot of fun. I had my son. It became a family affair too. I had my son who's a drummer. He's 17 years old, but I had him come in. We recorded him on the drums, so he did all the drum tracks, and my other son who's the guitarist, the guitar stuff, guitar work. So that was a lot of fun working with them too. In fact, the end credit of the movie, which is a cover version, a solo guitar and orchestra cover version of Silent Night, the carol, the Christmas carol, and um, my son Tristan wrote and performed that. So that was it was just all around a great project, just to be able to work with them and have a satisfying project to work on.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Marco. And do you think that it can be more difficult to create a certain sound palette and fiddling with certain sounds as opposed to writing a rather complex orchestral score? I mean, sometimes the little details and finding certain sounds can be rather stifling because you have so much at your disposal. How would you verbalize that?
I mean, they each present different challenges, but I sort of think of them as the same thing. Early on, when this idea of these two pianos became the the key starting point from a sonic standpoint. It's not an orchestral sound; it's more of a processed sound that Buck worked on and perfected and created for this that runs throughout the whole show, and then the all of the electronic components to this, because pretty much it's an electronic score with we had a string session in Eastern Europe to overlay on, I don't know, maybe about 35 to 40 minutes of the score, but everything else was sounds that we created here in the studio. But a lot of those sounds came from sources, we created a lot from the drums that my son played and guitar stuff, and we did also we recorded some organ things that we processed that became a big rhythmical element to the whole build-up. So they were all things that we created organically from acoustical sources that became the basis for the score. I don't think there was anything just just like a sound library or anything like that. It was all just in a sense, we had the acoustical sources and treated that almost like that was our orchestra. That was what we were working with. Um, so the same way you'd ask, flutes to play legato or staccato, you're doing the same thing with the processing of sounds, and that becomes the template.
Of course, being given the chance to work with a veteran filmmaker such as John Woo can present challenges, but it can also have many benefits. So, would you say there was a big takeaway for you personally? Did you encounter something which you hadn't encountered before, or maybe you said, "I never even thought of that as a possibility"? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, there were. I mean, that's what like John doesn't talk a lot. He's not like talking about the score, but there'd be certain things where he'd stop and I would think that oh I know what I'm doing here in the scene, but then he would say, can we try? You don't have this cue here. You wait here and it's bringing this part. He would respond to some part of it and try this here. And the way he would organize the scene made me realize that um, there's another way to do it that I didn't even think of, and it works so much better. And that's what I love. Honestly, that's what I love about this collaborative business because um, at a purely creative level, being able to expand your horizons and open your eyes to what are other possibilities. That I think that's really how you grow as a musician.
Absolutely true. And do you think that at times John can be hard to please? Did you have to do many revisions of a certain cue, or was a certain scene tricky? Perhaps.
I haven't found that. No, I haven't found that at all. It went very smooth. In fact, there weren't any rewrites.
And how do you like to work these days, Marco? Or maybe on Silent Night, or on one of your recent pictures? Do you like to score it chronologically if the opportunity presents itself, or do you write maybe a 5 minute suite, or do you talk to Buck perhaps in order to create the sounds, or do you pick a key scene? How do you prefer to work?
There's not one way, but it's usually not in order. It's usually more getting an overview of the film and what's the crux of the movie. How do you boil it down to the simplest musical ingredients and trying to figure out what those will be so that they can blossom into the score for different areas so that it's all part of a cohesive thing. It's not like a piece of music here and something unrelated here and something. I mean, there's some things are by design like that. Like for instance, Renfield was very stylistically diverse, but yet there was a thematic continuity to it that carried it. So I think coming up with the core ingredients of what the score is going to be, that's the tricky part of the puzzle. That's what I like to solve first, and then yeah, I mean, coming up writing music that maybe it's not specifically to picture, but it's an expansion of these ideas. Maybe it is a suite. Maybe it's just something that plays by itself for temporarily. So you're able to expand on ideas in the most pure way, and then start putting things to specific scenes, specific elements of the picture to see how it holds up and what needs to change. So going from the very general, the very broad to the specific.
Yeah. And you will actually be teaming up with John again very soon, right?
Yeah. I'm very excited for this next project. I think it's a fantastic movie, and we've started working on it, and I'm really excited for it.
Right. Can you disclose a detail or two about your upcoming project? I mean, besides The Killer, Ballerina is one of them.
That's going to be a fun score. I'm actually doing that with uh, a friend, another composer, Anna Drubich, and it's in the John Wick series, and it's we're basing the thematic stuff uh, on Swan Lake. So, so it's going to be a neat hybrid of elements.
And right, Anna, you had worked with her on Fear Street also.
Yeah, yeah, she's great. She's really talented, and we work well together.
It's actually not related to Silent Night. I was asking, or was about to ask you about another very interesting filmmaker with whom you had collaborated no, in 2022 actually, Adrian Lyne.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Deepwater, which I thought was a very interesting project, and actually right, or maybe even how do I put this? Right up Adrian's alley. It's basically his forte, if you will, to create or to direct a film of this kind or this story. So, what was it like to work with him, and how did it come about?
well, yeah. I mean, he's a very nice guy. It was in the middle of COVID. It was a tough period to work because everything was over Zoom, and so um, it it detracts when you can't be in the same room. You can't work on ideas together. You can't have them come over. You can't show them stuff like that. It's all becomes a little bit antiseptic about it. I think it would have. I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I like the music editor Gedney Webb, who we were using on that, who was based in New York, where Adrian was. Um, uh, but yeah, it was a little bit of a shame because I think it could have been a little more.
Marco, is there anything else on your mind which you would like to share with us today?
No, just that's awesome that you got to interview John yesterday, and and yeah, I'm really excited. Maybe after the killer comes out and we finish the score and everything on that, we can follow up together on that because I think that's going to be a fun one.
Maybe this will be the big John Woo Hollywood comeback. And I mean, he
Yeah,
of course he's not getting any younger. I mean, he's 77 years old after all. But I think he has many movies left in him, and his style as a filmmaker is very sought after, and he's a beloved director. And his how do I put this? I mean,
he's influenced. He's influenced so many other directors. Uh, Directors I worked for, directors I've heard interviewed that talk about him as a main influence. He's been so influential, which he's an icon really, uh, and yeah, I think he does have a lot of ideas and things that he wants to do still, which is great. And yeah, I hope to be along on the ride with him because it's I'm really enjoying it.
yeah, and I think he is probably the most influential or even the best action director of any era because there's nobody who shoots and directs action like John. Nobody, past or present.
Yeah, he sort of invented a whole style.
Yeah, action ballet, heroic bloodshed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like a ballet. It's exactly what it is. Yeah.
And Marco, thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule again, and I really appreciate that. And I had a great time talking to you again. I enjoyed it.
Likewise.
I hope you enjoyed it too.
Thank you, Michael. Best wishes. We'll talk soon.
Great. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.